Searcher safety is the foundation of every search and rescue mission. No matter how urgent a mission feels, we cannot help a subject if we create additional victims. Today, we'll look at the major hazards we encounter in our area and how we evaluate and manage those risks in the field. To help evaluate safety risks, SAR teams commonly use the GAR system: green, amber, red. This provides a simple way to categorize the risk level of an assignment or environment. The GAR assessment is a process. It is every team member's opportunity to contribute their perspective on safety before beginning an assignment. Each person brings a different level of experience, awareness, and physical condition. Because of that, the assessment should reflect how each individual truly feels about the situation, not what they think others want to hear. When we go through a GAR assessment, we are evaluating several key elements. Let's break them down. First, supervision and leadership. Do you know who your direct supervisor is? Do you feel confident in your team leader and their ability to lead? Second, is the assignment itself clear, reasonable, and understood? Third is the fitness of the team. Are we physically and mentally prepared for this task? Fourth, the environment. This includes terrain, weather, and any hazards present in the search area. Fifth, the team. How well do members work together, and do we have the right skills and qualifications for the assignment? And finally, improvised versus planned. How challenging is the mission, and what are the potentials for mishap? Are we operating under a clear plan? Each of these elements contributes to the overall risk level. The most important part of this process is honesty. If something doesn't feel right to you, that matters. GAR is designed to capture those concerns before they turn into problems. A good GAR assessment reflects the real conditions on the ground, not assumptions, not pressure, and not optimism. It reflects how the team truly evaluates the situation. Once concerns are identified, then mitigation can take place. Let's walk through how the GAR process is actually used in the field. When a team receives an assignment, the first step is to gather the team and discuss each GAR element. This isn't just the team leader talking. Every member participates. Each person shares how they rate each element using the GAR system, along with any concerns or observations they have. This is where individual perspective matters. When those inputs are combined, the team adopts the lowest level identified. If even one member identifies an element as red, that element is considered red for the team. The same applies for amber. Once the risks are identified, the team attempts to mitigate any amber or red elements. That might include adjusting equipment, increasing supplies, or clarifying the assignment. If a red element cannot be reduced to an acceptable level, the team leader must consult with the next higher authority before continuing. At that point, the assignment may be modified or reassigned. Let's look at a simple example of how a red element can be identified and then mitigated. A team receives an assignment and begins their GAR assessment. During that discussion, one team member realizes they forgot their coat. At the same time, the weather has turned cold and wet. Because of those conditions, that team member rates the environment as red. That becomes a red element for the entire team. At that point, the team does not ignore it. They address it. Another team member has an extra layer and offers it to them. With proper clothing now available, the risk is reduced. The team reassesses the situation and the environment rating is adjusted from red to green. This is exactly how GAR is supposed to work. We identify risk, communicate it openly, and take action to reduce that risk before continuing the assignment. With practice, GAR becomes second nature. It takes just a minute or two, is intuitive, and won't slow you down from getting into the field. GAR doesn't stop once the search begins. Every team member maintains situational awareness and speaks up if conditions change, be it weather, terrain, fatigue, or assignment clarity. When something changes, the team pauses, reassesses, mitigates if needed, and decides whether to continue. To stay safe, you must know your environment, continuously evaluate potential hazards, and remember that conditions can change. Situational awareness means constantly observing and evaluating the environment around you. Terrain, weather, fatigue, daylight, and team capability all affect safety. The conditions present at the beginning of an assignment may not be the same an hour later. Searchers must continuously reassess the environment and communicate changes that affect safety. Our county presents several weather hazards that can quickly affect searcher safety. Weather in the mountains and forests can change rapidly, and conditions that seem manageable at the command post may feel very different once you are in the field. Cold exposure, heat stress, wind, icy slopes, and lightning are all real hazards for search teams. Recognizing these risks early and adjusting tactics accordingly is part of maintaining safe operations. Avalanche conditions are not a frequent hazard, but it's still important to be aware of them. In certain terrain, especially steep, snow-covered slopes, conditions can change quickly and create serious risk. Factors like fresh snowfall, rapid warming, and wind-loaded slopes can all increase the likelihood of an avalanche. We do not generally set out equipped for avalanches, so recognizing these conditions is critical. In most cases, the safest decision is to avoid risk areas entirely. Water environments present several hazards for search teams. Swift currents, unstable banks, and cold water immersion can quickly create life-threatening conditions. Teams should maintain safe distances from hazardous water unless properly trained and equipped for those environments. Lightning is a serious hazard that requires quick action. If you can hear thunder, then you are close enough to be struck. Move off elevated areas such as ridges, hills, or peaks, and avoid open terrain where you may become the tallest object. Stay away from isolated trees, utility poles, fences, power lines, and other objects that can conduct electricity. Do not shelter under tall trees, cliffs, or rocky overhangs, and never lie flat on the ground. Immediately move away from water, including lakes, ponds, and streams. The safest option is to seek shelter in a substantial building or an enclosed vehicle. If those are not available, move to lower ground or dense areas of smaller trees. Lightning can be accompanied by torrential rain, so maintain awareness of additional hazards, such as flooding, which can be a risk in some areas. Early recognition and immediate action are key to reducing lightning risk. Searcher fatigue is one of the most common safety risks in search operations. Long operational periods, difficult terrain, and environmental stress can reduce situational awareness and decision-making ability. Recognizing fatigue in yourself and your teammates is critical for maintaining safe operations. Fatigue is something every searcher will experience at some point. The important thing is how you handle it. If you start to feel fatigued, you need to let your team leader know immediately. Don't try to push through it, and don't play the tough guy or gal. Fatigue affects your awareness, your decision-making, and your safety, and it can impact the entire team. Speaking up early allows the team to adjust, slow down, or take a break before it becomes a bigger problem. Search operations may sometimes take place on private property. When this occurs, SAR teams operate at the direction of law enforcement. Law enforcement is responsible for coordinating with property owners and obtaining permission when necessary. It is important to remain respectful of the property and aware of potential hazards. Private property can present unique risks, such as equipment, livestock, aggressive dogs, wells, fences, and unsecured structures. In rural areas, it is also possible to encounter property owners who are not immediately aware that a search is taking place. If that occurs, remain calm, identify yourself as part of search and rescue, and notify command if there are any concerns. Safety information should always be included in the operational briefing and the incident action plan. Searchers should understand the hazards present in the search area, communication protocols, and emergency procedures before deploying. In closing, remember that the safety of our searchers remains our highest priority. Every assignment, Every decision and every movement in the field should be guided by an awareness of risk and a commitment to managing it. The SAR-GAR process gives us a simple, effective way to evaluate those risks. It only works when everyone participates, speaks honestly, and stays engaged throughout the operation. Hazards will arise. Conditions will change, and how we respond to those changes is what keeps us safe. GAR is not just a box we tick, it's something we use continuously. Over time, with practice, this process becomes second nature. You won't need a card or a checklist. You'll naturally evaluate elements as part of how you operate. At the end of the day, safety is a shared responsibility. Everyone on the team plays a role in recognizing risk and speaking up. Make good decisions, communicate early, and don't ignore concerns. That's how we keep everyone going home safe.